Well, good afternoon, everybody. It is great to have you all here, and welcome to the Salem Chamber's kickoff of our 2024-2025 Forum Speaker Series luncheons. We have some incredible content for you over the next 9 months, and we're very much looking forward for you joining each of us. It is now a distinct honor for the first time at the Forum podium to introduce the Salem Chamber's president, Mr. Mike Herron with VIPS Industries.
Yeah, it says applause here in all caps, and that didn't, I don't know. Well, I'm excited to be here, and I think there's a lot of excitement. It feels sort of like first day of school sort of energy, and that's probably fitting because a lot of us sent our kids off to first day of school last week. I myself did, albeit she was 25 years old, and it's her first day as a public educator, but still an exciting and proud moment, I think, for all of us who send our kids off to school. So I'm excited about that. It's also fitting because of the topic that we're covering today. And I would like to get right into it. So if you'd please stand and join in a moment of reflection, followed by our national anthem, today performed by Jackie Roche. We take this moment to pray or reflect on our lives and on this moment. We are thankful for the meal before us, for the hands that prepared it, and for those who serve it. We are grateful for this day, for its blessings, its opportunities, and its trials. May we lend each other strength and guidance as fellow leaders within the Salem community. May we be deeply driven to always give our best and be courageous in rising to meet the challenges we face. Amen. Jackie?
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we'd watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Wow, thank you, Jackie. Jackie's the owner of Jackie's Natural Cleaning, so I encourage you to connect with her for your cleaning services. She's also a member of the Salem Chamber Ambassadors, so thank you, Jackie. It's now my honor to introduce our head table today, and please hold your applause until the end. Representing our season-long presenting sponsor, Hagen Hamilton Insurance Solutions, agent and two-time Salem Chamber past president, TJ Sullivan. Our monthly sponsor today is MAPS Credit Union, represented by Chief Experience Officer Chris Giles. And to my left are three panel speakers, Dr. Jesse Peters, Dr. Jessica Howard, and Superintendent Andrea Castañeda. Please join me in welcoming them. Others we want to recognize today, and again, please hold your applause to the end so we save a little time for Q&A, and also so everyone can bask equally in your adoration and applause. Locally elected officials, Turner Mayor Steve Horning, Salem Ward 6 City Councilor Julie Hoy and Mayor-elect, Chemeketa Community College board members Neva Hutchinson, Ken Hector, and Jackie Frank, Salem-Keizer School board member Dr. Cynthia Richardson. We also have Salem Chamber past presidents, Barb Hake-Resch, Kurt Arthur, Richard Pine, and the aforementioned TJ Sullivan, along with Salem Chamber Board of Directors members Alan Rasmussen, past president, Angela Williams, Bill Rickey, Dan McDowell, Diane McLaren, Katya Mendez, myself, Rich Duncan, Ryan Dempster, and Ted Ferry. So welcome them as well. One last welcome. On behalf of the board, I want to welcome anyone attending today who is a new member of the Chamber or if this is your first time attending a forum lunch. And I want to thank you for your commitment of your time and your money in our efforts to serve our community. Okay, Hagen Hamilton Insurance Solution is serving as our season-long presenting sponsor for the Forum Speaker Series again this year. This year, they've prepared a short presentation for us.
We're family owned and operated, and in this part of the world, that's everything. In addition to us being locally owned, operated by a family, we're able to serve so many different niches and industries with the expertise we have. So we're locals supporting locals. And when you have that kind of agent force who's willing to not only donate financially, but also their time, being present with the community events and community members and the youth in communities, that's when profound change happens.
We are about the long-term relationship. Your time with us doesn't stop the moment that sale is finalized. We're with you for life. And that long-term commitment is important.
We've been here for 114 years. We're not leaving. We have a passion for the community that we serve and for Oregon-based businesses. You know, businesses that we want to see thrive, and the best way to do that is to help them mitigate risk. We're a team full of great agents that have seasoned expertise in every industry that Oregon has. So you're not going to find a better agency partner to work with for your business.
All right, thank you to the John family, TJ, Chris McLaren, Chad Neal, Katie Adams, Stacy Nassett, Stephanie Camp, Beth Black, and the entire Hagen Hamilton team for your continued support. MAPS Credit Union has been serving our community for over 89 years. Here to share more with us, please join me in welcoming to the podium Chief Experience Officer Chris Giles.
Thanks, Mike. Fellow chamber members and guests, I'm Chris Giles, the Chief Experience Officer at MAPS Credit Union. We're honored to sponsor today's program on the future of public education in Salem-Keizer. It's real special to us at MAPS because we were formed by educators in 1935. A group of 25 teachers gathered together in a living room right here in Salem to pool their resources together in order to help each other live better financial lives. And now, almost 90 years later, MAPS has grown to serve nearly 80,000 members here in the community with a pooled resource asset base of over $1.4 billion, which sounds like a lot of money, and it is, but we're grateful to be in a position as a not-for-profit financial institution where every year we can turn our excess profits back to the community in the form of give back. So we're giving back to our employees directly in the form of a profit share program, to our members in the form of lower rates and lower fees, and to our community through direct community giving. Much of our community give back is done through the MAPS Community Foundation, which was formed in 2012 and has since then given millions of dollars to support education here locally in our community, as well as giving to nonprofits that are doing important work within all of the communities that we serve. Joining us today from MAPS, we have two esteemed board members of the Credit Union Board of Directors, as well as they volunteer on the Community Foundation Board. Judy Beebe and Sue Bloom. Welcome, Judy and Sue. We also have several employees from MAPS joining us today. We have Kathy Grimes, the Vice President of Marketing, and Todd Gorham, the Head of Retail. From our business banking team, we have Lisa Werner and Tim Vickers from the Mortgage Group. And we're also joined by the managers of our two largest branch locations, Peter Schaefer in South Salem and Krista Martin at Chemeketa. Again, it's our honor to sponsor today's program. We look forward to hearing and finding out about new ways to grow our support of public education and really participating as we all work to build a better future. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Today's topic is the future of public education. For purposes of diving right into the program, the biographies of each of our presenters are at your tables. Following the presentations, we'll have time for questions from the audience. To set the stage for today's presentations, we're honored to have Dr. Salam Noor from Mountain West Investment Center for Community Excellence. Dr. Noor served as Oregon's Superintendent of Public Schools and is a recognized thought leader in public education. Join me in welcoming Dr. Salam Noor to the podium.
All right. Still morning. I can still say good morning, right? Thank you, Tom and Mike and Chamber, for asking me to sort of kick off this event and perhaps provide some context to what some of our speakers will be saying today. I do want to recognize and acknowledge our panel, our K-12 and higher education systems leaders, for their leadership and commitment to an excellent and well-rounded education in our community. I want to say also that they have really, really tough jobs, and we all recognize that, with many challenges. But they also hold one of the most important roles in our community and society. And I'm really thrilled that the Chamber Forum Series are being kicked off by this topic, because it's one of the most important and foundational topic in my view. I'm a true believer in public education and have spent a career spanning multiple states, levels, and systems working in public education and public service. I believe that education is the path to success and prosperity. And as an immigrant, first-generation immigrant, the first one in my family to come here to the United States at age 16, and one who has enjoyed tremendous success in various roles and organizations, I attribute much of that good fortune to the education and educators, teachers, counselors, principals that I can still see and name, if you were to ask me, that I have encountered along the way. I am a father of 4 children who are adults right now. They're all graduates from the Salem-Keizer public schools and graduates from Oregon's public universities. And we are very proud of that. So when Tom asked me to do this, and I asked about my comments and I thought about my comments for today, and this really incredibly important topic, and I want to underscore the word future. We're talking about the future of education in Salem-Keizer, in our community. I wonder how I can meaningfully contribute to, or at least inform, this discussion with this distinguished panel. Do I offer comments as an educator that has been quite some time in the state working in the K-12 system, as well as the university system? Do I offer comments as a university faculty? I'm proud to say that I'm an adjunct at Western Oregon University. Do I offer my comments as a professional currently working in the community and engaging with a lot of different community partners and aspects of it? Or most importantly, do I offer my comments as a parent of 4 kids that have actually experienced the systems that you're about to hear from today? I chose to make my comments while looking through the lens of my grandchildren. Yes, I am a grandfather. And the promise our education system holds for them. So these are my grandkids. Juniper, who's 5, her brother Rowan, 10 months, and her cousin Zane, also 10 months. I just opened college savings accounts for each of them with the hope of positioning them for success and a good future. I, as a grandfather now, worry about their future just like I did with my own kids, and as you do with your own kids and grandkids. So I started to think about it through this lens. I wondered what their school experience will be like. Will school be a safe place for them? Will they have excellent, exceptional teachers? Will learning be engaging, meaningful, and help them find their purpose? Will school be the same as it was for me and their parents? Or something that's better and far more relevant to the world that they will live in 18 years from now, 13 years from now? Will school meet their needs and grow their passions and love for learning? Will school prepare them with the skills necessary for success in school and beyond, such as the ability to read and write and be proficient in math and science at every grade level? These are not theoretical questions that I ask myself. These are questions that Juniper's parents actually ask themselves. And I support their decision to actually homeschool Juniper this year. I tried really hard to get them to enroll her in kindergarten, but they made a choice that I respect and support. But I also believe she's missing out on an amazing experience in kindergarten, and I'm gonna keep working on that one. As they graduate from high school and get ready to cash in these college savings accounts, I wonder, will they actually be prepared for college? Will college be accessible, affordable, and even available? My oldest son was thrilled that I was gonna open a college savings account for his kid, but the first thing that came out of his mouth, perhaps sarcastically, was, will colleges even be around then? I sure hope so. Will they receive a quality education that prepares them for the world of work? Will they incur enormous debt that limits their ability to thrive as adults? Will they graduate in 4 years? That is a standing joke and a standard in our house, but all of my kids graduated in 4 years. It takes about 6.25 years to complete a 4-year degree in the US today. Will they be prepared to take on the world with the knowledge and skills and confidence and readiness? So I wonder about all of these things as a grandfather, as a parent, as an educator, as a community member, not to be critical or negative. That is absolutely not my intention, but to underscore that I care. And frankly, we all have to care and determine how we work together to support students and their success and provide an education that is relevant to our community's needs. These are real challenges our K-12 system and higher education are facing today, and I only wish the future to be better for my grandkids and yours and your kids. So we, Juniper, Rowan, and Zane, and all of us, I hope, in this room, are cheering for you. And we want to support you and be behind you in the work that you're trying to accomplish here. And I will say we're also counting on you for the best education possible for our kids and grandkids and future generations. All right. I didn't mean to put a damper on this, but I want it to be real because this is truly real for me and for my kids and families in this community. Now, we're going to hear from our panels, and it is my distinct pleasure to introduce Dr. Peters, President of Western Oregon University. Thank you.
Okay, how's everyone doing? Good? All right. Let me just start with a show of hands. How many people in the room attended Western, had a family member attend Western, worked at Western, or currently work at Western? Let's see. That's a lot of people. So I think that kind of shows you that Western Oregon University is a very vital part of this community and the communities around this area. I also really appreciated Dr. Noor's framing of this with narrative. I think the stories that we tell and the stories that we know really tell us who we are. And it's important to revisit that. In some ways, you could probably think that education is about acquiring stories, acquiring the ability to evaluate stories, and to figure out our own stories. So who am I? I'll give you just a small version of that. Jessica told me I have 3 minutes, so we'll try to go fast. My accent is a Georgia accent. If you picked up on that, then congratulations. Most people think it's Texas, which it's not. I grew up on a farm in rural southern Georgia. I'm a first-generation college student. My parents grew up on sharecropping farms in the rural South. And I became interested in college. I thought I would major in business, but I switched to literature. So I majored in literature and sociology as a minor, and I became really interested in contemporary Native American literature. So it's kind of odd. It's a pursue that career path, but I did. And after graduate school, I ended up spending 18 years in North Carolina at UNC Pembroke, one of the regionals in that system. And then after that, I was in Colorado at Fort Lewis College for 5 years, also a regional institution, a Native American serving non-tribal institution. And then 2 years ago, I became president at Western Oregon University. So Western Oregon University, I want to tell you a little bit about who we are and what we do. Oh, I'm backing up. So first of all, we just completed a new strategic planning process, and the title of our plan is Education, Innovation, Community. So we're here to talk about the future of education, and a lot of that future will have to be innovative. Things are changing, and education will change as the world changes. And one thing about Western that really is important to us as an institution is that aside from the fact we're on a beautiful campus in a beautiful part of Oregon, in Polk County, but we also have a campus here in Salem that is quickly becoming our graduate center. We're focused on creating a personal atmosphere that fosters senses of belonging and empowerment. So it's interesting to think about those two words as related to education, and I believe that they become the cornerstone for how students are successful. Everything begins when you start to feel like you are part of a community and you're empowered in many different ways as you acquire an education. Your degree empowers you, but you're also empowered by the networks you create. You're empowered by the people that you learn from. You're empowered emotionally. You're empowered intellectually. So lots of things take place as we're shaping young people to be the leaders of the world. I know that firsthand because, as I said, I'm a first-generation student, and my journey was an interesting one, and it's one that led me to where I am today, and I really wouldn't trade it for anything. People often want to talk about what is the value of education, and from my parents' point of view, my mother is 90 years old. From their point of view, education was choice. It was the ability to have a path of your own choosing. And I think that really stands true today if you think about it. So we serve a lot of first-generation students at Western, 48%, which has increased since 2018. 41% of our students identify as students of color. 26% of our students are Latinx students, so we're on our way to becoming a Hispanic-serving institution. We would be the first four-year public in Oregon to have that designation. Chemeketa already has that as our community college here in the county. And we're 39% rural students coming from counties designated as rural by the federal census. Our students are eligible for federal aid, 76% of them, and 46% Pell eligible. And the average at the 7 Oregon public institutions is 40% eligible for aid. So what this is telling you is that we serve a lot of first-gen, rural, low-income students at Western, a lot. And we're graduating a lot of those students. And I like to always say, that's a moment that changes the trajectory of a life, but it also changes the trajectory of a community, a city, a county, because as people get these degrees, they have other pathways and options, and they have many choices. Let's go to the next one. Our second key statistic we'd like you to know is that we contribute greatly to the regional economy. People often don't think about that when they think about an institution like Western, but that regional institution employs a lot of people. We have a lot of construction contracts, and we bring in a lot of students that also contribute to the local economy. And I think people really felt that during COVID across the nation when college students weren't in the communities anymore. And people were like, oh, now we miss them because they were buying things, but they also were labor force that worked in the communities as well. In 2019, we did an economic study, and just in Polk County and Marion County would also have benefits from our presence, contributed $233.5 million, capital construction another 9.7 to the county, and directly and indirectly contributed 1,786 jobs to the county. So those are key statistics, and I think we really are an economic driver and an engine. Key statistic number 3, which we're also very proud of, is that we serve Oregonians. We have 82% of our student body are students from Oregon, from the state of Oregon. We have students from all 36 counties And I did put up a little big school stat there, just in case you were interested, that the University of Oregon has about 51% students from Oregon, and Oregon State about 50%. So not that there's necessarily anything wrong with that. They're serving out-of-state students as well. But we like to think about our direct impact on the citizens of our state, and we think percentage-wise we're having a great impact. Of the alumni from Western who live in Oregon, 42% of those alums are in Marion, Polk, and Yamhill counties. So again, so many of you are connected to Western in some way. The alumni are here and they're starting businesses, they're being entrepreneurs, they're contributing to the economy in many ways. You might find this interesting. The median income for a WU bachelor degree recipient 5 years after graduation is $50,353. The median income in Marion County is $34,555. So people want to say, what is the value of a college education? It really does have a value that is compounded over time, and sometimes we forget that. And lastly, I just want to say something about prepping for the future before I turn it over to Jessica. Western has a long history of preparing educators. We're the oldest four-year public in Oregon. 1856 was when this institution began. And we're still producing the most classroom-ready teachers of any institution in the state of Oregon. So it's interesting for us to be proud of that in the surrounding counties. We're working to expand the rehabilitation and mental health counseling program, received some funding from the state in the last legislative session. So we're really happy to contribute to that great need in our state. And we established the Organizational Leadership Master's Program in 2019. That program is doing well. That runs out of our Salem building. You would be interested to note the median income for graduates of that program is over $80,000 right out of the program. And in fall, we're launching the Occupational Therapy Doctorate Program, which will start in just a few short weeks, and we're very excited to welcome the first cohort, which would be about 30 students. It's the first program of that kind at a public institution in the state of Oregon. And then finally, I just will leave you with our vision statement. And as I say this to you, I want to emphasize the fact that, you know, a public institution, a four-year university, is successful and depends upon partnerships with both community colleges and K through 12. We are as strong as they are strong, and I think part of what they will talk about is in the future, those partnerships need to be even stronger. We need to quit seeing education as isolated experiences, but to see collaboration as a power. So our vision is to be a place that's a model for intentional inclusion and accessibility, and we want our students to have a meaningful impact on the local community and beyond, and we want to prepare them through critical thinking and communication skills to navigate the challenges they'll face in life. So in some ways, I think that goes back to the notion of choice and mobility. What does higher education do for a student? That's what it does. It provides them those opportunities. So I will stop there and hand it over to Jessica Howard. President Howard.
Good afternoon. It is such a pleasure to be here. Thank you. To be with these incredible, valued colleagues of mine, Dr. Peters and Superintendent Castañeda. It's just such a pleasure, and I wanted to thank Tom Hoffert and the Chamber for bringing us together to talk about this important topic. So Chemeketa is your community college, which means it does a great many things to contribute to the economic and educational health of our region. To try to paint a picture of what we do and why in the short time allowed today, I'll be focusing on how Chemeketa provides value to our community and how it functions as a utility player in order to meet workforce needs. To contemplate the future, I believe we really need to fully understand the present, and so I'll try to help us do both today. And I'll be relying on data points to tell the story so you'll know it's not a fictional one. First thing to point out, on this slide, you'll see our college's mission statement and images of people whose lives we have changed and who are out working in and contributing to our community. These are not stock or AI images. They are real individuals, each one. Chemeketa serves about 18,000 such students each year. The average age of those students is about 25 or 26 years old. By far, our largest high school feeder throughout our 2,600 square mile service district is Salem-Keizer. And our primary partner in university transfer is Western Oregon. So huge partners and important colleagues, these. Now let's go and look at a first set of data points, which should help show that Chemeketa provides great value to our community. Let's cut to the chase and talk about return on investment. And I'm going to channel my inner Dick with Nell and talk to you about ROI. We had an economic impact study performed about 1.5 years ago that showed that for every $1 that students invest in their education at Chemeketa, they receive an $8.50 return. The same study also showed that the average ROI across all 17 of Oregon's community colleges was $5.20, which is also significant, but you'll notice that big difference. I believe that higher number that we enjoy at Chemeketa reflects well upon the community we serve. And I think it also shows in a single measure that Chemeketa manages its resources well, has done so for decades, and deploys those resources for the maximum benefit of students. So we're very proud of the ROI we provide. Now, how many of you have ever heard of Chemeketa Scholars? Oh, good. So this is a unique contribution to the community that Chemeketa provides. Graduating high school students with a 3.5 GPA or above get free tuition if they come to Chemeketa. This is a great help for our students and their families, and we're the only community college in the state with such a program, I believe, which we self-fund. Dual credit refers to courses provided in a high school setting that count for college credit in addition to high school credit. This creates tremendous savings because students emerge from high school with a jump start on college without the cost. This opportunity for students obviously depends upon a fruitful and collaborative partnership with school districts like we have with Salem-Keizer. As far as we are aware, Chemeketa is the only community college in the nation with its own textbook publishing arm. Driven by an institutional commitment to lower prohibitive textbook cost, did any of you have an expensive textbook in college? Our faculty author these books for our specific courses. They're reviewed by academic peers in the discipline for quality, and most are priced at $20. This has been such a successful initiative that other 2- and 4-year post-secondary partners provide these books for their students as well. Perhaps you have heard that Chemeketa will have a bond measure on the November ballot. If not, let me be the first to share with you this happy news. The salient points are this. In 2008, our community passed a bond measure that supported thousands of students through new facilities and expanded programming. You may have been one of those students. That bond is retiring, and if this 2024 bond measure passes, it will have the effect of maintaining, not raising, but maintaining the 27 cents tax rate per thousand that's already in place vis-a-vis Chemeketa. More good news is that this bond will allow the college to leverage funds from the state to the tune of $8 million, monies the community will benefit from but won't have to contribute. What will the bond measure actually fund? It will create more capacity for career and technical education, also known as CTE, especially in the trades and in emergency services and in healthcare. It will upgrade the building that served as the incident command for the Beachy Creek fire in 2020. Yes, that was at Chemeketa on Lancaster Drive. So it can serve Salem as a community disaster resource site in the case of the big one or a similar catastrophic event. It will also upgrade safety and security at our campuses and ensure our classrooms have up-to-date technology. Quick question, how many of you use a cell phone that is at least 16 years old? You get my point? Technology is changing, and we must keep up with it, or our students will be left behind. The Salem Chamber provided its support of this bond measure, for which we are tremendously grateful. This vote of confidence speaks to the important work of the institution and an understanding of the high stakes involved. We all know that education and training are the key to individual and community prosperity. In the future, it is anticipated that this will be even more the case, with greater levels of education needed in order for workers to succeed. Chemeketa is committed to doing everything it can to creating the successful outcomes that are needed and relevant in our changing world and workplace. This requires meeting students where they are, getting them to where they need to be, and keeping things affordable and accessible so that the opportunity we provide is real. That's what I hope this slide shows, that our value proposition is compelling and that we work hard to keep it that way. Next point, Chemeketa is your utility player in meeting the region's workforce needs. It's football season, so I can use a sports analogy. Being a utility player to me means being ever present and ever able to do the task at hand, equally comfortable and competent in assuming different critical roles to get the job done. Let's talk about how Chemeketa is ever present first and how it takes a core community college goal, providing access, to heart. Chemeketa provides education in a variety of ways across Marion, Polk, and Yamhill counties, creating multiple access points for students. We have 7 physical locations. We offer courses in high schools, businesses, prisons, and community centers. And our online offerings range from individual courses to entire programs. Now let's talk about the big roles that we play through any and all of these modalities and locations. According to the 2022 U.S. Census, the percentage of Marion County adults with a bachelor's degree or higher is 25.9%. I share this statistic because it is alarming. You'll be glad to know that Polk County is higher, but both are below the Oregon average of 36%, which is lower than the national average and that of many industrialized countries. In the decade ahead, opportunities for those without a post-secondary credential are projected to shrink. According to a very recent Georgetown report, in 2031, 42% of jobs will require a bachelor's degree or higher. 42%. Almost half of what we do at Chemeketa is provide courses at the freshman and sophomore collegiate levels for students who intend to transfer to obtain their bachelor's degrees at places like Western. We play a huge role in making bachelor's degrees accessible and affordable to our community. Here's another statistic. 50% of jobs in Oregon require skills training, and 45% of Oregon workers have it. Career and technical education is a large and significant part of what we do at Chemeketa, and it is calibrated to meet this need now and into the future. Being closely connected to business and industry through our many advisory committees and being able to rapidly adapt as technology changes is the key to keeping our CTE training viable and future-focused. This also explains why CTE spaces figure so prominently in our plans associated with the upcoming bond measure. Third statistic, 40% of Marion County adults either don't have a high school credential or only have a high school credential. While there are still some well-paying jobs that don't require a degree, the fastest growing jobs available to those with only a high school diploma are mostly low-wage service jobs. You may not know that Chemeketa is involved in helping students acquire their high school credential, but we are, because post-secondary education and training depends upon it. For us, a high school credential is a first step along an educational pathway that is increasingly necessary in order for individuals and communities to thrive. We educate thousands of individuals each year so they can obtain their GED, acquire English as a second language skill, or achieve a high school credential through an alternative high school we host on our Lancaster campus in partnership with Salem-Keizer. Obviously, most of the students who come to us have a high school credential already in hand, thanks to the tremendous work of school districts like Salem-Keizer, but not all students find success in a high school setting, and so we step up. Finally, we provide all kinds of contract and technical training for our area businesses and industry. We've always done this, but because automation, artificial intelligence, and robotics will affect almost all jobs moving forward, helping you as business owners anticipate and adapt to changing workforce needs will mean more of this responsive, just-in-time training. So Chemeketa does a lot, and will need to keep doing a lot in the future as the need for education and training will only increase. But what will that future look like? Well, it may look something like this. What you see on this slide is the first class of students who enrolled last fall in our brand new Bachelor of Applied Science program in Leadership and Management. We were the first community college in Oregon to develop and offer a bachelor's degree. This is a new opportunity in our state. It's an unusual degree because it adds junior and senior level coursework in leadership and management on top of a 2-year career and technical education degree in any discipline. So a person could be, and try to pick them out, an auto mechanic, a paramedic, a digital designer, an IT specialist, a firefighter, a building instructor, or countless other CTE professionals, diligently employed out in the workforce, but in order to climb the career ladder in their own field, they often need something that they don't have, a bachelor's degree and/or business management training. That's what this program provides. For employers who told us they desperately need to hang on to talent and create a leadership succession plan in their own companies, this degree provides the opportunity for current employees to rise to the occasion, stay local, and help the company they're already in thrive. So now you know what this degree is. Here's how I believe this program's design could help shape the building of educational pathways in the future. Number one, this degree program came about through input from our community, and it represents a very innovative response to a pressing local workforce need. This is entrepreneurial, out-of-the-box thinking at its best. Number two, it is an accessible and affordable career pathway, in part because it's incredibly efficient and practical. Number three, it is completely oriented around the student. The program leverages their own work experience in class and schedules courses so the employed adult is never forced to miss work. Number four, it utilizes technology to facilitate learning, primarily in a hybrid and remote environment. Number five, this degree capitalizes upon the value of technical applied learning and baccalaureate credentials, and how one can provide a gateway to the other. Think of how this can upend the stigma-driven narrative around CTE as a second-rate option and provide more opportunities for our communities. And finally, this degree realizes career pathways across our institutions and creates an ecosystem that works. Consider, each of these individuals on the slide has a CTE background. They may well have started at Salem-Keizer in CTEC, perhaps earning Chemeketa credits while still in high school. And then they came to Chemeketa to complete their studies with a 2-year degree. They obviously went out in the workforce, and they may be employed by some of you right now. Now they're back at Chemeketa, obtaining their bachelor's degree while continuing to work full-time. But it doesn't end there. Students in this program will be able to earn up to 1 full term's worth of credit toward the master's degree in organizational leadership at Western, streamlining their educational journey, saving time and money, and learning more that can help them in the industries in which they currently work. Western, in fact, has been a supportive thought partner throughout the development of this program, and by being in it together, our community is benefiting more. There is yet another thing to consider. A number of these students are parents of Salem-Keizer students. This means they are in a position to influence the next generation by modeling the power and transformative possibility of post-secondary education. And so our educational circles overlap and iterate not only with the story on the slide, but up here on the stage. Being ready for the future means working together, leveraging opportunities and partnerships, understanding the stakes and the data, being responsive and future-focused, and thinking big. We pride ourselves on having this orientation at Chemeketa, but I would say that these approaches and attributes also characterize our next speaker, Superintendent Andrea Castañeda, who I'm proud to call a colleague and friend. Please help me welcome her to the microphone.
Thank you so much for that welcome. I will also just say I was one of those rural working class families, and of the first two higher ed campuses that I can remember visiting, Western and Chemeketa. And when I went to Western, I thought it was the most beautiful thing I had ever seen. I was just bowled away by what was possible. And I think it's a real testament to the incredible number of assets we have right here. And as part of sharing those assets, I was so pleased when Tom and the chamber reached out and they said, well, it would be great to come and answer some questions. But when I work on presentations up until 11 o'clock the night before, things often go awry. And so I'm bringing you questions rather than answers today. But I think they're questions that matter. And they matter to me. I hope that these are questions that matter to you. So to me, 3 interesting questions. Ones that connect our work, ones that connect our world. So first, this has already been alluded to. What is the future of knowing things? Knowing facts? And I dropped a few key data points in here because I think it helps us explore this question. So first, graduation rates, career and tech, and for our 5-year students in non-career and tech programs. And then you can see proficiency rates here. So I'm just going to ask you to sit for one moment with the question, what do kids need to know these days? Over the weekend, I needed to know why my outdoor hose was leaking right from the bib. And so I went on YouTube and I watched a video, and then I watched another one, and then I went to the hardware store 3 times, and then I called a plumber after all of those steps. But I think this is what Salam wants for Juniper partly, is like, we want them to know not just what they know, but how much they can learn. We are not living in a world where content knowledge is some commodity anymore. It's everywhere. That's not the challenge. So here, let's look at sample 11th grade content. And I think you can read it. It's a lot of Supreme Court cases. I think probably most of us recognize some of them. Some of us recognize most of them. I would be surprised if there's anyone in here who doesn't think to themselves, I would have to Google that. And we do still treat this like it's what kids need to know. I don't know that that's true. Not with the pace that things are changing. Another quick look, 11th grade math assessment question. Again, some people in this room will be like, oh, I got this. Some people will look at this and think, I might have had it once, I no longer do today. And as the person who was taking this sample 11th grade math assessment last night, it was a humbling experience. And I was again left with this question, what do kids need to know? And I think we have this spectacular opportunity and also responsibility to answer this question together. All right, question 2, graduation requirements. About a year ago, I was with you guys and somebody asked this question. So, do we have the right ones? Are they too low? Are they too high? Are they too few? Are they too many? This question is very much about content too, because look at how you graduate. It's the same way that we all graduated. Look at all those credits. Every one of those credits is a year-long course. And so very often people ask me, you know, why are you lowering graduation requirements? And it's so funny because you know what we're actually doing? Look at the green. We're adding them. So my question for you is, does that make a better diploma? Adding more credits. Does adding more content make a better diploma, make a more skilled young person, a person who's ready for your institutions, a person that's ready to be a member of your workforce? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. What I can tell you, though, is every time we add, we take away flexibility. Because that's one more thing that a kid has to do instead of something that he or she may love to do. This is such an opportunity. We can figure this out. But who decides who gets the diploma? I am here to report to you that kind of everyone decides. Our board chair, she sort of decides. But look at all these other things. These are all actually fundamentally decision makers. You know how many kids think they're going to play a Division I sport? A lot. So they're worried about whether or not their transcripts will allow them to go into college athletics. Every university in the country has got expectations about those transcripts. So are we just going to abandon those? Probably not. Scholarships, the legislature, everybody is a decider. But Salem-Keizer could be a place where we say, you know what, we're going to pause this spinning wheel for a minute and figure out something that's going to be right for Salam's 10-month-old when she is a 12th grader. And we do have a chance to do that here. And then question 3, also an interesting one, maybe especially to me. It's the story of truth. Who is telling the story of our schools? And is it the story of our schools? So Dr. Peters did a raise your hand, so we'll do the same. Who has been in a classroom in the last 3 years? Raise your hand. Schools are wild because everybody thinks they're an expert because we all went to school. But the truth is that there are amazing things going on in our schools, and it is not typically the story that we hear. We have such spectacular staff and young people. I wish you could meet them all. I wish you could meet the young runner from South that I was with on Saturday. So I was walking around just saying hello, and they're all nervous and queuing up, and so I thought, I'm just gonna go talk to this young person. He'll feel better if he could talk to someone. So I stand in line with him, we talk about his upcoming race, and I was like, all right, you're nervous, you're in line. What are you actually in line for? And he was like, oh, the bathroom. So sometimes we win and sometimes we lose, but the point is that they are great. And they have a story too that we can be so proud of. 45% of the class of 2024 took advanced courses. How do we square that with 12% proficiency in math? I'll tell you one thing that we can square it with. Young people are amazing at knowing what matters to them. These IB and AP courses matter to them. They throw themselves into it. An 11th grade state assessment, not as much. But that doesn't mean they don't know the content. It means we don't know how to ask them the question, do you know the content? Those are different problems. So, I'm just going to close with a few things that I think matter to our district. They definitely matter to me. First, leading for change, we need total clarity as a school district. We teach kids, we educate them. There are a lot of other things that need to be done. Some of those things we have to do, but some of them we can stop doing because we must educate. We cannot do everything. 2, we have to win by focusing. We have to do less. We have to eliminate barriers and distractions and just teach, because our staff can do it and our kids can learn it. We need the system that's delivering it. Core skills that are flexible and that can be grown. That's what our young people need. We have to track our progress and report on it. We must sweat the details. We're a billion-dollar organization. We have to operate like every element matters, because every element matters to schools. And then we have got to tell our story. We win for kids every day. It's just that all of you don't know it. And that's because we haven't told that story as much and as often as we can. Nev, I was with your granddaughter at a football game, and she was winning. An incredible cheerleader, so dedicated. There's a story of winning at every single table, and we get a chance to tell it. And finally, there's the question of how we lead. And I've really been kind of mixed mind about whether to advance to this next slide. So I think I'm just going to have to ask my board chair to avert her eyes, because I'm just going to go for it. There's this saying about teams, and you want to be on the team that's smart, humble, and hungry. Everyone is smart, humble, and hungry. And I think this probably is true for your teams too. That's who you want to be with. And to be that, we have to lead like our absolute lives depend on it. We have to lead like our kids' lives depend on it. We have to lead like there is nothing more important than the work we are doing every single day. And so this is an actual picture. Cynthia, your eye is looking at the floor. An actual picture of my car keys. And it has this little tag on it. This is how I feel every day. As for me and my team, we will get it done. Because we will get it done. This room is full of tables where you have met with me, you've had coffee with me, I've seen you at sporting games. I have seen you everywhere because you have a heart for kids. And this is a group that does too. We are so fortunate to have each other, to have you, and to have the community that's sitting in this room. Because as for us and our team, we get it done. And with that, I believe I will hand it back. Is that correct? Yep.
Questions from the audience? Thank you. Please raise your hand.
Good afternoon, Mary Louise Vanetta Public Relations. I have recently become acquainted with the Oregon Employability Skill Program, which has been developed by WASD to help what we're all seeing in industry is kids come to work, but they don't have what we used to call soft skills, the employability skills. And I'm curious from any of the three of you, what other things you're seeing and doing to help bring students to us that are, what do you call it, ready to learn, ready to work?
So I'll tell a very short story. I was once in a room with a bunch of young people who were going out for their first job. And it was the very end of their prep session, and they got to ask questions of their teacher. And they were very nervous about what they were about to do and the experience they were about to have. And so it came to the question portion. And one of the kids said, I have an important question. if I go to the bathroom and I see my boss in the hallway, what am I supposed to do? And the teacher was like, you say hello. And the kid was like, okay, got it. And then another kid said, if I'm on my break, can I be on my cell phone? And the teacher was like, you can be on your cell phone on your break. And he's like, got it. The reason I'm telling this story is we don't all remember how we learned how to work, but we did learn it. It's part of teaching. It happens at homes, it happens in schools, it happens in workplaces sometimes. These soft skills, they feel obvious once we have them, but until you've been taught them, they are not obvious. They deserve instruction just like everything else. So we've got 55 career and tech programs, but we've also got thousands of kids taking technical training courses every single day because we've got them in every high school and exploratory courses in most of our middle schools. I think this is part of the path, and whether it's a credentialing program or just a recognition that kids deserve to be taught the things we expect them to know. And if we expect them to know things that nobody even told them about, we're not going to get what we hope for, and it will be on us, not on them.
Good afternoon. My name is Nick Williams. I'm with SVN Commercial Real Estate Advisors, and this question 2 is for Superintendent Castañeda because you, along with Tom Hofford, I think have 2 of the most thankless jobs in this community. Outcomes and dollars spent. So the state of Oregon ranks number 5 in per capita money spent per student, and we're number 40 in outcomes. If you had a policy magic wand, what are 2 or 3 things that you would change that could bump us up the list in terms of outcomes for the state of Oregon?
Well, one thing I will say is I've lived and worked in 3 states, and everybody thinks their outcomes are at the bottom. It's like the opposite of the woebegone effect. So I don't actually know the details of where we fall, but I do know we spend a lot, and I know that we want to be getting more than we have. If I had a true policy magic wand, it actually would be a hearts and minds wand. The hearts and mind wand number 1, we would go to school during the summer. And that's a hearts and mind thing because that's not a policy issue, that's actually a family thing. Families are not feeling it at all. If I had a policy magic wand number 2, I'd probably take a serious run at those graduation requirements we looked at. I think at this point they're holding us back more than they're pushing us forward, but that would require a policy magic wand with everyone, not just K-12, especially higher ed partners throughout the country. And, you know, I'm not going to say money, except if I had a number 3, I probably would try to get a little more money.
Hi, so Matthew Miller with Miller's Barbecue. One of the things I wanted to just express to Andrea is thank you for everything you're doing. But one of the things I wanted to let the room know a little bit is your guys' CTE program. I get to have the privilege of sitting on the committee for the culinary CTE education for the Salem-Keizer School District. And one of the neat things that they do is they're really engaging our community partners, us, to come into the classroom and help not only with some of the soft skills, but really getting engaged with the students and the teachers. And so I just wanted to say thank you for that opportunity and what the school district does to really engage our business leaders in our community to come to the school, to meet the students, to meet the teachers, and to get involved. So testimonial as to what you guys are doing, and thank you for that.
I also want to thank you because if you were to have watched the video from my last board meeting, you would have seen me really paying attention to the board except for when I was texting to coordinate with catering. So thank you for the great barbecue that we set up during the board meeting.
Hi, Ernesto Toshkovic. Question for Andrea. First of all, I want to give you a compliment for recognizing that we are teaching kids too many unimportant things. So I think that it takes courage to recognize that. Question for you is, where do you see artificial intelligence in the schools, for example, ChatGPT and so forth, in terms of efficiencies and helping kids learn?
If I can, I think I'm actually going to broaden that to the whole table, because this is, I'm sure, a topic that we are all spending time on, and I'll pass it over to my colleagues and then address it specifically in K-12.
Sure. I mean, I could talk about that for a long time. You know, it's at least in the public imagination, it's a relatively new thing, even though it's been developing for a long time. I think it's a tool that, managed well, has incredible potential to be helpful in the educational world, just as you alluded to. I think, interestingly, it may push us as a society and a culture back to making sure what we talked about with soft skills is something that human beings can do. If that makes sense. I think, you know, eventually, how do you know how to communicate with a person and understand those ideas are from a person may be more important to society than we think it is. So just to jump back to that question about how are we ensuring soft skills, I hear a lot of business leaders say that. It's almost like, well, is college giving the skills we want? So there's this balance between, well, let's don't teach too much, and let's, you know, just give them the skills they need. Often they mean content, but the ability to work collaboratively, think entrepreneurially, communicate effectively, shift from topic to topic, lead a team, work with people who might be difficult to work with. How are those skills acquired? And I think they come from things like a general education curriculum, but what we don't do a good enough job is explaining that to the students, and then having those students come out of any of our programs and institutions with the skills that are required to lead. And that's one thing I think AI will probably, maybe, never give us, are those intuitive skills that allow you to interact with and lead other human beings in a meaningful way. So at my former institution, we had an engineering program, and even though we were ABET accredited, we kept the gen ed core. And often we talked about the fact that we produced engineers, but our engineers could also lead your teams because they were grounded in other kinds of skills beyond just the content. So kind of a long answer to that, but.
I'd simply offer, I think that there's some real opportunity with artificial intelligence in terms of being able, in terms of the adaptive learning tools, which I think have an opportunity to level the playing field among learners in a way that we've never seen before. So I think it's there's some real exciting opportunities there. I would say this, you know, what is suitable in the classroom and what is not is a big question that our faculty are wrestling with, and it's not just us, it's everyone, and trying to figure out, you know, for instance, is the examination something of the past? Because if you can work using an online adaptive learning software, it will know what you know and what you don't know. So do you need a high pressure performative exam when the machine already knows? So I mean, when you think about just, I think it's some of the questions that the superintendent brought up. What do we need to know and why? Because we've come up with a gen ed curriculum we've inherited from hundreds of year-old model of academia, right? And so what do we really need to know? What can technology help us do better? And then, of course, the things that only humans can do will probably get even more valuable. And so I think there's just a lot of opportunity, but I think so many questions, certainly in the next few years, about how we understand what belongs in the classroom. I will say just one thing. When I ask out in the community, what do you need of someone who is an English major? I used to hear things like, I need someone who can write, I need someone who can communicate in a certain way. And now I'm hearing, I need someone who can use ChatGPT so that my entire company can do more with less. So I think it's a brand new world.
I'm only going to say one sentence. I'm honestly pretty stoked. I think it's going to be really interesting and exciting. I feel like it is a chance of a lifetime to be sitting on the verge of a transformative moment in not just schools, but in the kind of experience of humankind.
Thank you. Group of preachers kids, so this is way more comfortable for me. Let's give one more thank you round of applause to our panelists and to Dr. Noor. Again, want to thank Jackie Roche for the beautiful national anthem, Jackie with Jackie's Natural Cleaning. Thank you, Allied Video Productions, Capital Community Media, and the Salem Convention Center for making all the logistics happen. Thank you, Salem Chamber Ambassadors, for your continued hospitality. To Chris and the team at MAPS Credit Union, thank you for your sponsorship of today's forum. And thank you again to Hagen Hamilton team for your season-long sponsorship of the forum series. Now, okay, mark your calendars. For next month's forum, Monday, October 14th, live debate between Oregon Congressional District 6 candidates, Representative Andrea Salinas and Mike Erickson. And a late change here, we also get to have candidates for Secretary of State Dennis Linthicum and Tobias Reed live here on stage for a candidate debate. So this is one I highly encourage you to attend. It's going to be fantastic. Get online, register today at salemchamber.org. Our final piece of business is our Flower Centerpiece giveaway, courtesy provided each month by Roth's Fresh Markets. Today's winner is Kelly Vaughn from Professional Realty Services. So Kelly, come on up and get your flowers. And thank you all for attending. This is going to be a great year of forum lunches. Thank you.